welcome to all our viewers on Retail Jewellery India and Retail Jewellery World channels across India and the world. And we have today with us the very distinguished Mr. Tait, the Global CEO of World Gold Council, and it has been 2.5 years almost since we have heard from him. So we have to start with asking you, Mr. Tait, what are the key trends globally for the bullion and the jewellery industry, and where do you see the year 2022 and 2023 going?
The key trends for 2022-23 I think are going to be focused around gold supply integrity, provenance, chain of custody, building a database globally on which for the very first time the industry can rely. It's never happened before. In the last 2 weeks, the LBMA and the WGC came together and announced the fact that we were creating this database. It's going to have every gold bar ever in it, and it'll be the first time that the world can refer to a gold bar, find out where it's come from, its ESG credentials, who actually mined it if necessary. And as a consequence from that, I believe this industry is creating a great foundation to entertain better and more advanced technologies as it moves forward. So I think the next 2 years are focused around accessibility to gold, gold bullion integrity, as I've described, and ultimately producing the technologies that will make gold completely fungible across the globe for the very first time. To be honest, I think there are many avenues and access points to gold throughout the world, but what's become increasingly apparent to us is that there are high degrees of trust issues with regard to those access points. There are many access points, like I said, but we've discovered that 48% of gold participants don't actually trust the product, and 60% of people don't actually understand the product, and there are a multitude of other statistics that are unfavourable, which we hope to change. So we've developed this 247 project, which focuses firstly, as I've said, on accessibility and trying to change those trust dynamics and provide gold with the opportunity to be purchased on various contemporary means, such as your iPhone, right the way through to, well, frankly, any form you could imagine. It's secondary, going to focus on gold bullion integrity in 2 ways. First, creating a database of all gold, as I previously mentioned. That will be, for the first time, the one-stop shop where you can check that your gold is yours, where it's come from, all other credentials that go with it. And it will also be aligned with a state-of-the-art security feature when taken together and viewed on a DLT ledger, distributed ledger technology, where the gold bar moves through an ecosystem, updating constantly. I think we can arrive at something that the entire industry entire world can finally lean on as it pertains to gold. And the third thing is fungibility. We want to make the markets of the world talk to each other with no obstacles by creating a digitized equivalent of all gold that is in that ledger, and then arrive at a standardized product, call it gold for the very first time, that can actually flow between the various markets of the world. And when we do that, we're creating essentially a brand new, and I hesitate to use the phrase, but currency, because it will be viewed as a different asset class for the very first time to many, many, many people. And as we do that, many of the capital impediments that many institutions throughout the world, asset managers, even hedge funds, suffer when they try and trade this asset class will drift away. And I think that is an exciting prospect, and a prospect that many people have underestimated, because I think when you do that, and its uses for collateralization, different lending forms, and many other things we haven't even thought of yet, people are underestimating, I think, the demand that will emanate on gold from that transformation. And so the prospects for this industry are fantastic, and we need to grasp the nettle now. The RGIPs, as you rightfully say, were born in India in the next office to us right here, and we're very, very proud of it. Just briefly in India, we're on the cusp of developing an SRO, self-regulatory organization, which has managed to draw together all the various stakeholders from around this country. We're very proud of it. It's been very inclusive. We've listened to every single person, but it's utterly critical that the industry in India comes together under a unified banner and essentially elects a body that is able to face off against government in a very mature and adult way, and in doing so move this industry forward in a very coordinated way. That process and that concept has been extended globally, as you rightfully say. Most notably, I think, probably in Germany as a case in point. We have managed to distribute data and the process, and we are gathering an SRO in that country, and it's even been adopted by every single one of the German Landesbanks, which is an amazing feat and something we're immensely proud of. We've moved on from there. It's in the process of being released in Singapore. We're working on Australia, and an SRO is being brought together across the United States, which was no mean feat because, as you know, a vast country, not as vast as India, but nonetheless many disparate, fragmented associations who, up until we approached them, had not really spoken to each other. So my intention of all this is to draw these SROs together across the globe and have them represented at a global body, i.e. I'm hoping to create a governance structure above the global gold industry that has been so far lacking. It all boils down to trust. One of the things that has dogged this industry to varying degrees in varying countries has been a degree of lack of trust in various quarters. It's true, as I've said earlier, that the Bank of England or the FCA's website actually says, beware of buying gold on the internet because it might be a scam, which I think is something from the World Gold Council's perspective we need to change. So I think I applaud the efforts of hallmarking anything that you can do to give a prospective buyer, the public, anybody who's involved in gold, greater confidence that it is what it is, that it's come from where it's come from, and that the purity is what people say it is an obvious step in the right direction. And I think anybody who thinks that it's a good idea to avoid that is in the wrong business. And I think it's something, you're joining a global body that will improve trust in the asset class, give it credibility, and give it more credibility not just with the public, but with regulators and governments alike. And it's a fantastic initiative. Provenance is becoming increasingly important to many members of the public and many investment funds, asset managers. They want to know where the gold has come from, that it's been responsibly sourced, that it's sustainable, that it has the appropriate climate credentials, and that it frankly is what it is. And so when I came into this industry, I was struck by the lack of certainty that accompanied each and every gold bar. We had different sizes, different shapes, come from different places. We had fraud, we had lead dressed up or tungsten dressed up as gold bars, and this had to change. The way to do this is to create this provenance record, absolutely immutable record for a gold bar that can the data can be input into the bar, or data can be input into the system from the doré stage right the way through the refining, right the way through the ecosystem, and a gold bar can be tracked from the beginning of that journey right the way through to the end at a digital ledger, updating at every transaction across the way. So there's absolutely immutable record for the very first time of every gold bar. The combination of that database and advances in gold bar security features means that we will eventually, not far away, have an ecosystem that is going to be impenetrable. And my intention of creating that is that slowly but surely that impenetrable ecosystem will grow. And it will grow and grow and slowly but surely squeeze out what I consider to be nefarious practice in this industry. Slowly but surely, the public's trust in this asset class will grow and grow. And my personal goal is that where there are spots in the world where there is exploitation at mine sites of children, criminal exploitation, we can squeeze that out of the system by denying these stakeholders, I will really call them, these nefarious practice a market. That is my personal goal, but I think we're in a great place. The LBMA and WGC have come together to do this, and I'm very proud of how hard we've worked in the last year to make it happen.
So, Mr. David, we have seen in the last 2 years gold being the number one consumer liking product, which nobody expected. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, people thought gold would be the last thing which consumers will really come to, and jewelry will be not the first choice for consumers. But after the first wave, what we saw in 2021, it was unbelievable sales and people's love for gold, especially, and gold jewelry. And one of the biggest reasons which especially the retail trade said was the World Gold Council campaign of You Are Gold, which really led millennials to believe in gold and come back to gold jewelry as not only as an investment, because they saw prices rising over the last 1.5 years before when the pandemic hit, and we saw an import of 782 tons, which was at par with what used to happen before the pandemic. So will you continue with the You Are Gold campaign and all the initiatives with WGC Cook, with GJPC in India, and also in Middle East, which also works very closely with Indian manufacturing? There's a lot of request for World Gold Council to come there and do such initiatives which you are doing in India as well.
Well, the short answer is yes, but I think there were a combination of things that gave the boost to gold. Firstly, as you rightfully say, there's the You Are Gold campaign, which we were rightfully proud. It was a fantastic initiative. I think the adverts are very slick, and we put a lot of work into it. I think we targeted it correctly, and we definitely moved the audience, and there is going to be more of that to come. Secondly, I think that there was a natural bounce back. There was an enthusiasm to get back to reality. There was also, I think, a lot of accumulated income from lockdowns. At least that was a true reflection of what happened in the United Kingdom, as an example. And there was a degree of exuberance that accompanied release, for want of better, that it expressed itself in retail sales figures. But yes, we plan to continue with equivalent You Are Gold campaigns, particularly tied to and woven closely with the RGIP campaign. Those two things will factor as one element. And with regard to the Middle East, I have had discussions recently with the UAE authorities about the Gold Bullion Integrity project and provenance, and I've been absolutely thrilled the fact with those conversations and the way we've moved them forward. So the World Gold Council is willing to look at anything to promote gold throughout the globe, and the You Are Gold campaign and its equivalents that we will produce, we're very much looking forward to continuing.
Great. Thank you, Mr. David. We look forward to having you more in India, and it's his leadership which really helped the gold and the jewelry industry to grow so much and so well and come out of the COVID situation in a lot of winning ways. So, Mr. David, thank you very much once again for this chat, and I'm sure the trade will look forward to seeing you with India stores and in their business houses soon. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.